Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth video of this series. So till now, what we have been able to achieve is that we are able to do a ranked inverted search on the documents that we have, which are basically websites for us. Let us just run what we have. Yeah, so we get the score, the file name, and the documents in which we find these specific terms. Now, if I let me just quickly tell you what we are going to achieve in this video. So this is more of a video where we add some test cases and made our code structured better. We will introduce something called UV. So my goal for this video is that by the end of it, our file structure looks something like this. We have our main.py inside that, and inside the search engine repo, I have a search engine package which has the init.py. Along with it, it has a search engine module, um, and along with that I'll add some test cases. So this will basically have something called like maybe we can do it engine test.py, and we will have UV. So let me first like basically refactor the code a little bit. So I'll create a new folder here, and I'll name this as search engine. Now you know that in order to make this into a module so that we can use it in our other code, I need a init.py. So I'll just write over here that this will be used in the main.py function. And now over here I'll create a new file. Name it as search engine.py. So now you can see that our main.py does all the work right now. Like it loads the files, it has the search queries in it, it builds the index as well, and it is also responsible for running the code right now. So this is not very optimal because as our code expands, it will be very difficult to manage it. So for that, let me quickly just move a few functions. For example, this basic search function, I'll remove it from here, add it here. Now you might see that there are some warnings here, so I need to move the tokenize function as well. Let me move it. Yeah, okay. And we still have some warnings. RE is not defined. Let me define RE. So import RE. And over here I don't need RE anymore. And now you will see that this little warning here from our editor, it is because now we have moved the tokenize function, but we have not imported it. So let me just do like a quick action to import tokenize. So I don't think it imported our tokenize. It imported something else. We don't need this actually. We have to write it ourselves. So from search engine import tokenize. Okay. It still does not go. So from search engine, we need to give the exact file name as well. Now, if we see that it leads us to the correct function, let me just run this once. So yeah, the code is running fine. Similarly, I'll do the same thing for these functions as well. Yes, let's just move all of this. Oh yeah, search engine. Now we will see the errors. Let me see what quick fix is suggesting. Okay, it's correct. This is correct as well. Quick fix, add it. Let's see what it imported. So yeah, it imported all of these for us. I don't need to import tokenize. Do I need to import tokenize? I think I do because let me see tokenize. Okay, tokenize is not here. We don't need to import it. All right, let's do some cleanup. Okay. Create snippet is not defined. I need to import create snippet as well. So add create snippet. Oh no, it's actually, oh yeah, we can just move this create snippet as well. We just move the create snippet and let's move it over at the end. Create snippet. All right. Now this code should run as usual. Python main.py. Yeah. So the code is running as usual as it was running before. So we now have all the functions in the module. We can further break this into separate files, maybe add the tokenize into a util file and just basic search into some other files. But let's just save that for later. Next thing what we want to do is add something known as UV. So UV you might see it as basically like npm but for Python. Okay, so now to install UV, you will need to go to this page, and then according to which platform you are using to code, which OS, you can just follow the steps here and get it installed. Once you have the installation done, you can simply go here and do a UV hyphen hyphen version to see that UV is installed. So if I do a UV init now, you would see that it says initialize project search engine, and it also creates a pyproject.toml file. So this is really useful because I can use this to essentially manage my app. I can use this to build my app and many more functionalities, which we'll see in the later videos. Now, how do I run this main.py using UV? As I said, that was one of my goals to also run the app using UV. So the command which we use is simply UV run python main.py. If you use the run function and just give python and the file name, any file name you have, it runs that file name for us. Let's just quickly test that. We run python main.py. So yeah, you see that all the tests are there. Sorry, all the previous code which we had written, it works the same. It works as usual. And now what I want to do is I want to add tests. So to run test, what I would need to use is we run python -m pytest. Now, what is pytest, you might ask? Let's just quickly go and Google it up. We open Google, yeah. So pytest. So basically, if you see the pytest documentation, you would see get started. You need to install pytest first. Once it's installed, you can create your test. So basically, this is a library which helps us to test the Python code which we have written. And what it does is for all the files which are there in your main repository. So if you want to see, I think it will be here, create multiple tests. Yeah, it says that PyTest will run all files of the form test underscore star.py or star underscore test.py in the current directory and its subdirectories. And how do we install it? We are going to use pip. No, we are not going to use pip because we have set up our project using UV. Let's go back to VS Code. Yeah. Simply to install it, you need to do UV add pytest and you need to do a hyphen. Yep. Sorry. Yep. It will be hyphen hyphen dev because we want to install this as a dev dependency since we don't actually need it for to run the app. We just need it for our development purposes. So once I hit the command, you will see that dev under dev dependency group, I have pytest. So now let me quickly create a folder as tests, and under it I'll add a new file engine underscore test.py, and in this file I'm going to create all my tests. So basically to create a test you just need to define function which is going to the function which is going to run in order to simulate the test. So for that, for example, I'll quickly explain you with a sample here. So if I write a function, for example, to let me find a function. So we have a tokenize function over here. Okay, so if I simply do a test, um, test tokenize function, or maybe something more specific. So we see that it returns us all the tokens in lowercase. So I can name this function as def tokenize lowercase, and what it does is that it returns us only letters. We can see that in our regex here, and returns letters. Uh, what you need to use is an keyword called assert over here. So basically, you give on the left hand side of assert, you specify your function which is going to run. So our function here, it is tokenize, and let me just give a sample line over here, which says hello, I'll give world Python C and AI ML, and I can give a number like 10, for example. So, and it says that tokenize is not there. Let me quickly see. Yeah. So let's import tokenize. This is why I made the code in this format. So the structural change which we did, it is a flat change because we are not using an SRC file. So there are there are two ways in which you can modularize your project. The simplest one which we have done here is the flat change, in which simply all our code is in one folder. We don't use anything known um, as a source folder, basically the SRC folder. And the second is the when you use the SRC folder. So we can discuss those topics later on as well. And now I'll give the output. So what this tokenize function returns is a list of string. Simply I'll give the list of strings. So I'll just give hello for now. So this test should fail because I don't have the other keys or the other tokens over here. So let me now run it using UV run Python. Okay, let's yeah. So you would see that this test is failing because left contains five more items, uh, and the first extra item it is world. So now you know why using a library called pytest is so useful, because it gives you so much extra information which you would not get if you were going to write all the test cases by yourself and the handlers for that also by yourself. And let me just pause you and tell you the reason why we are doing this. Like, why do you want to introduce tests now in this project? Is because I want to ensure my code does not break, which is what the title of this video says. So let me first give a correct output over here. Um, World, and then it will have Python and AI ML. So this should be the correct output. Yeah, you can see that our test has passed, one passed. Also, if you don't want so much of the details over here, you can simply run it in quiet mode. So you will see just the result of the test. Now, why adding test is important at this point is, for example, I make a change in this code over here. So tomorrow, I think maybe I want to treat some function differently because of a new requirement in this project or any of your projects. So I might simply like do a change over here. Maybe now I want query.upper. So now when you will run the test, like for example, you have made the change, and this tokenize function, it is imported in a lot of places. So a lot of other functions or modules are dependent on this tokenized function over here, and it expects that this tokenized function does its job properly. But for example, tomorrow someone else comes and changes this tokenized function, then all of those modules will break. And how we are going to detect that is via the test cases. For example, if I do an upper over here, so if I run the test now, it will fail that, because you will see the first difference, because the code sent us a uppercase, but what we were expecting was a lowercase. So this is the important of adding test early in your code, that later on the maintenance part of the whole application, that becomes very easy for us. Now let me add some more test cases. For example, let me add a test um, for example, I'll add a test for the basic search. So yes, test basic search returns documents containing any query tokens. So for example, now if I go to the basic search, what it takes in is a dictionary of string and string. So we need to mimic this in our test case basically. So let me just add a file data over here. Let me make this a dictionary, and let me add a file as a1.txt. I'll say neural networks and machine learning, and let me add another file here as let me name it ai.txt db.txt. Over here it has SQL indexing and normalization. All right. Um, and for example, there is an empty.txt as well. No matching topic here. It gives an error. Oh, we missed a comma over here. All right. So now am going to do a assert basic search. Now equal to okay. So now this basic search is going to take a query and the file data and it's going to return a list of strings. So for example, my query is learning SQL and my file data is here. And for example, if I don't want to like assume that it returns the correct data, so I'll just give empty.txt since it's not matching, and we need to import the basic search function. Clear. Now, if I run this test, you will see that it gives an assertion error because the first diff which it has is ai.txt, and the left hand side it returned ai.txt and db.txt. So let's just copy it, paste it. Now it runs fine. So two tests pass. Um, like like this. Let's add a test for inverted index. For example, let's add a test for let's search inverted index returns. So you might have seen that the inverted index over here, it actually returns the union of documents. So let's add a test for that. Returns union of matching. And this function name can be anything, so which is why I'm making it so long and not worrying about it. And index equal to, so for example, my index here it is, and just to um, like make things clear, search inverted index, this takes in a query and a dictionary of string and set of string. So for over here, this is the string and this will be a set of strings. So for example, this is present in doc1.txt doc2.txt. I'm going to make this as a string. Okay. And for example, this database, it's found in this set doc3.txt. Okay, and I'm going to write a function assert set. So I'm going to call the search inverted index. It will give me the option to import it. Okay, search inverted index, and I'm going to give something called maybe sample Python database. Let's just give Python database. So this should return both the documents. Let's see if it does that for us or not. Comma index. So it is returning us a list of string over here. And maybe if we remove the set from here, let's see. And if I just give this will be doc1.txt comma doc2.txt comma doc3.txt equal to okay. So it gives us an error over here because it says that index 0 diff doc3.txt is not equal to doc1.txt. Okay, so it's basically the order in which we are being returned the file names. um so if I see in this function it is going to do a tokenize, then it is going to do a set, and it is going to return us the union of that. So there is no what you can say it like, there's no function which says what is going to be the specific order. It just appends it as it gets the token. Okay, so let me just make it a set over here. Let's just make this a set. Okay, so this is going to be a set, and let's make this a set as well. Okay, so now this runs fine because now if we are comparing to set, the order of the elements in the set do not actually matter. So now let me add another like search inverted index. For example, we are looking for missing, and I have the file data. Oh, sorry, it's index. This should be equal to an empty list. Yep. So all of my three test cases are passing. That is amazing, guys. And let me just add another last function. So def test. For example, I want to add a test for the time we are measuring, because that is very important for us. So test measure time returns function result and elapsed time. And let's just quickly look at the measure time function once. Let me import it. Import measure time. Measure time, what it does is takes a function and some arguments, and it returns me the time which has been taken. So if I go here, if I define a function, for example, if I define add a comma b, and I say that it return a plus b. Now this is a function, so I can call the function over here, define add, and I can give a comma 2 comma 3. Let me quickly see what this will return. So it returns a result and an elapsed. So I can do assert result equal to 5, and let me see. Yeah, it is passing, and also I cannot particularly say, right, how much time it will take for the function. So let's just do it like assert elapsed greater than 0. Yeah. So this is it. This was fine. So this was it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, drop any suggestions if you have in the way I'm making this course, or if there's any topic you want me to touch again. And also tomorrow, what we are going to do is basically, now if I go back to the actual coding part, you might see that we are building this inverted index again and again for every time we are running the app. So, but in an actual system, this is not the case. It is already built, and we just load the index from an existing file or a database or whatever it is. So we are going to touch on that topic tomorrow. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.